All right. And for, I think just about everybody on this call, or most of the folks on the call today, should have received the email I sent out this morning that had some preseason practice images for y'all to use for editorial use. If anybody didn't get that, feel free to send me an email and I can forward it your way. But we'll go ahead. We'll jump right into questions for Coach. We'll start with Rick Russo, and just a reminder to please use the raise your hand function for those of you who want to ask questions, and I'll call on you and unmute you. Rick, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, good morning. How are you?
Good.
Rick, about the news that came out this morning, can you comment on Tennessee hosting Kansas next January? And to follow up on that, Rick, do we know at this point what basketball might look like inside Thompson-Boling Arena this season?
Well, we're excited about, having a chance to play Kansas again. We had a really good game out there with them a year ago, but I guess my disappointment is I don't think they will be able to get the full Thompson-Boling experience, where it would be sold out the way we would expect it to be. But at this point, Rick, we're working through all that, the issues. We don't know at this point exactly what we're going to be allowed to do with our arena. We obviously don't feel like at the beginning it's going to be anywhere near what we know Thompson-Boling will be like. But as time goes on, who knows what will happen.
Go to Grant Ramey and then Ben McKee.
Rick, at this point, what do you know about your non-conference schedule, where it will be played, when it will be played, how much work has to still be done to finalize everything?
Grant, that's a great question. I'll tell you what, it really and truly, we thought we had it down a couple times, but it's changed. And I think now we're going to still wait to see on a couple more. We like to think that believe me, we want to get it done. And we, like I said, we thought we had it done, but some things came up. Other teams couldn't do some things that we had to readjust, and we're still doing that. But we haven't got it totally finalized yet. We're close. But again, every day something seems to pop up to where it makes us have to adjust some different things. And so we're waiting on some information that we're hoping to get here in the next couple of days. If we get it, we feel we'll be able to get something out to you guys pretty soon.
Coach, I know it's somewhat early, but have you seen an improvement with the team's rebounding this summer and getting into official practices? And if you have, how much of that is the result of adding EJ and Scc?
Well, it's an emphasis, obviously, with our staff. We weren't very good a year ago, as you know, and it's something that we really have made a conscious effort to know that we've got to be better there. And EJ will help us. There's no doubt. I mean, he does a great job of doing that. And but it's not just going to be him. It's going to be, as a group, we've got to improve in that area as well as taking care of the basketball.
Go to Jimmy Himes.
Hey, Rick, do you know what your season opener will be? Has that been solidified, even though you don't know your entire non-conference schedule?
I'm actually surprised that you can shift from football to basketball that quickly, Jimmy.
It's a rare talent.
It is a rare talent. We don't yet. Like I said, we think we do, but we don't have it official yet because, again, there's some things that we hope to get squared away here the next couple days, hopefully, that we're going to be able to put it all together. And like I said, we thought we've had it together a couple times, but things have come up, and so we're not in a position to say that anything is official yet because it's not.
What have you been most pleased about with practice so far?
The effort. I do think we've got a group of guys that blended the young and old guys. I think our older guys have done a really nice job with young guys. And like everyone, we're having to deal with the contact tracing with our team. And, we've had stop and go points where we haven't had the whole team there. And we still haven't had our whole team out there yet. But the fact is, I do like the effort. I like the intensity. And are we behind? I think we're like most teams. We probably are a little bit behind in terms of scrimmaging. Normally we would be real close here to getting ready to scrimmage a team like Davis that we always did, but we're not ready for that right now for certain. But I just like the way these guys have come in and approached practice every day.
Go to Rob Lewis, then Joe Rexroad.
Coach, what have you seen from Santiago from having a full off season and being with you? I know he wasn't here in the summer, but he's been here for several months now after kind of getting thrown into the fire last year.
Robbie's better. You know, he is better. He's better shape. He's leaned out. He's, you know, again, he wasn't with us this summer, but, you know, he was one of the later ones getting back. He and Urosh. I don't even think, I'm thinking back, I think he got back in August, somewhere in August, but he came back. You could tell he had really, his time away, he had taken serious to get himself in shape. And I think he did play a lot of ball while he was at home. But he's better. And he, again, has worked on a lot of the things that he knows that he needs to do to get better. But I think it's been really good for him to have Keon and VJ and Jaden when they're there. I mean, there's a lot of competition there that's going to help all of them.
Joe, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, Rick, I guess to that point, with the new guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah, to that point, Rick, with the new guys, I know there's going to be a lot of focus on what they can do offensively, but do you think you guys will get back to the aggressive defensive style you prefer? Do you have the kind of roster to get back to that this year now, do you think?
We do. We think that we've got a chance to guard the ball better than we have in the past. We do think we've got some guys that are really good on ball defenders. And we actually, on the other end, we think we've got some guys that can create their own shots more so than we've ever had here. But defensively, yeah, we think that we have a chance to be a really good defensive team. We got to continue to get there, obviously, but we do think that this could be one of our better teams we've had since we've been here.
We'll go to Jerry Tipton and then Nicholas Hill.
Yeah, Rick, I'm wondering how COVID, very generally, I guess, but how COVID has affected team bonding and just the overall preparation at this point.
Well, in terms of the team bonding, I mean, I think we've got a close group of guys that do look out for each other. I do really believe with my whole heart that I don't know if anybody could do it any better in terms of trying to do all the right things, following what we have been told to do. But we've been slowed down. There's no doubt. We've had periods where we've had to stop. I think we've had to stop twice, and where we've just haven't been able to do the things. And we actually backed up our season. We didn't start like everybody on the 15th. I think we went on or 14th, whenever we backed it up 2 days, trying to, again, get more people out there with us. But in terms of the bonding, I don't think we've been hurt there at all. We've got a good group of guys that they really do like each other. The chemistry is really good. That's another thing I would say that I look forward to every day with these guys, to see how much they really are helping each other. And they know that we're in different times. They just by the way our facility is set up and the way we're doing things here. But they know, again, we talk about it really with them daily about the importance of doing what we need to do right now. And but are we behind a little bit? I think it's the norm. I do. I think, and every day that we happen, I think it's a good thing, because it's something that we might have to deal with. Like one day this past week, or when we started, we only had 8 scholarship players on the court, which I said, hey, that's good, because we might have to be put in this situation again sometime in the next couple of months. But so whatever we have out there every day to practice with, we look at it as, hey, this is what we've got to deal with, and we've got to go with what we got and make it work. And so I think all the reps that certain guys are getting are great. And the older guys, I've often said, the older guys don't need as much as the younger guys, and the younger guys are the ones that right now that need the most attention, and we need to get that done for them.
And Rick, if I may, how beneficial can the game with Kansas be to top 10 teams in terms of raising Tennessee basketball's profile nationally or internationally?
Well, again, that game's a long way off. I mean, but I've always enjoyed competing against Bill's teams. You know, they play hard, well coached, and again, we were hoping a year ago that when we left there that we'd have a chance to play them again. Like I said earlier, I just would love to think that if they could have gotten the full experience of Thompson Bowling Arena, because I think when a team like that comes in, I don't think there's any better arena in the country, and to be a part of it and see it. And But it's an opportunity. I think anytime you go out, you have a chance to always do something for your program, one way or the other, really. But we want to be in those games. We've always said it. We want to play one of the best schedules in the country. We'll play anybody, and it's a challenge, but those are the kind of challenges that you look forward to.
Nicholas Hill.
What kind of conversations have you had with them about what that will look like this year, and how different do you think the conference schedule will be this year compared to previous seasons?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, hold on. I was just asking about the SEC conference schedule, and what kind of conversations have you had with the SEC about that, and how different do you think it will look in terms of conference play from previous seasons?
Well, the difference is we're going to start a week early, basically, obviously, to give us some chances if some games need to be made up. That's will be the biggest difference. But I think after that, I think there's a lot of things that we're still working through. I mean, I think we're all concerned about the contact tracing, not only for our players, but there's referees involved. There's people that work the games. There's a lot that goes into this that we're working through. And again, the SEC has made it clear how they expect things to be done. And they've given us great guidelines to go by and to get our arena set up the way it needs to be set up. Our arenas will be different, and each one will be different some way, somehow. But there's a lot still going in place to make sure that we're following every bit of the protocol the way it should be to protect everyone that's involved with the game and everyone that's going to be there to see the game. But where it's going to be different, and we try to like the rules. I mean. There's different rules that could happen this year within a game. They're talking about when a team's lined up to shoot 2 shots, do the guys line up right away? Do they step back and not gather there until the second shot? There's all kind of little things like that are still being worked through about how. So with all those things in mind, we're trying to assimilate as much of that as we can when we are in practice in terms of the way we're trying to do things. And we'll continue to do that as we continue to get the guidelines that are going to be given to us.
Go Mike Wilson and Vince Ferrara.
Yeah, Rick, I know you said a lot of the schedule isn't yet set, but are you expecting to have the game against Memphis in Nashville still as a possibility? And are you also expecting to have Wisconsin and Gonzaga as opponents this year?
As of right now, I don't think we will have any of the neutral site games because it really just doesn't make sense. The Gonzaga game is still on some way. Mark and I have talked about that. We plan on playing that game some way, somehow. And but with the Wisconsin game, we can't. We tried to work. That was our opener, and we just haven't been able to make it work with what they have to deal with their league games and where the flow of the schedule comes in. But of those 3 that you asked, the one that I think that is going to get worked out some way, somehow will be the Gonzaga game. But again, a lot of that actually depends on some other games if the bubble situation works out, whatever. But again, honestly, that's as honest as I can tell you because that's all I know right now.
Yeah, on the bubble situation, I know you've talked about that before. Is that still something you expect to happen down in Orlando at some point?
We're counting on it, but again, it's not set in concrete yet. We're hoping it is, to be quite frank, but we're not there with it yet until we get all the guidelines that we need to know how everything's going to be done there. And once we get that, but that's something that we're counting on, but it's not set in stone yet.
Rick, earlier in the offseason, you had mentioned that basketball needed to learn from college football first before they could move forward. What's basketball learned about football being able to operate its season, although not perfect, and how positive has that been?
Well, I think what we've learned is what we've seen, the unpredictability of it in terms of, when the COVID hit somewhere, how do you work through it? I will go back and still say this, it's a moot point, but I still think that we should have started on the 10th to give us more of a runway, but that's not here. But we are making up some time to have at the end of the year with our conference schedule, which I think if something comes up, which again, what we've learned from football, something will probably come up unless something happens with the COVID itself. And so I think that we've learned from, if you've kept up with the football programs where they've had to stop and go, it's happened to us in our preseason practice, just like it did with them. But as I was mentioning earlier, you learn, hey, that's the way it is. That's the new norm right now. And you've got to be ready and be prepared to play with a group of guys that maybe didn't think early. And so it's so important that you're getting different guys ready for different situations because of the unknown. But the fact is, I think we've learned too that it can work if everybody does their job, and even with everybody doing their job, you can still get hit with something unexpectedly. And that's what I was kind of alluding to. I think we've done everything we could to do our job here as a university and as a basketball program, certainly with what we see every day, and the way Mary Carter and our staff, Chad Newman, and the way they have done things in Pratt Pavilion. But we've still been hit, but we just work through it. And I don't think we're any different than anybody else in the country. I think we've all been hit some way, somehow.
Ryan Shumpert and Grant Ramey.
Hey, Coach. How pleased have you been with your point guards so far, and has there been any separation there amongst that group?
Well, I will say this. We've been pleased. We've been slowed down there a little bit. That's the one area that I will tell you that we've been slowed down because we think we've got 4 or 5 guys that can play there and do the things that we want done, especially in transition. But we feel good about that spot because, certainly Santi knows. I mean, he's still learning a lot what he wasn't able to learn a year ago. But Keon and Jaden have proven what they can are more than capable of learning it and playing it. Josiah understands it, and VJ Bailey's had to play it just because of the contact tracing. He's probably put more time in there than he has anywhere on the court because of our situation. So we've had we're doing some different things with our post guys that we'd like to implement transition that we think will not only help those guards, it'll help us as a team.
Rick, I know you don't have a lot of schedule answers, but with the SEC schedule, do you expect it to be the normal Tuesday or Wednesday game and then a Saturday game, or have you heard any?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be 2 games a week. That's how the way I understand it, and so yeah, I would assume it would play like that. It'll be those 2 games a week is what we'll have, and I think it will be like that.
Gustavo and then Brent Hubbs.
Rick, I remember back in March, how shocked everybody was with the COVID situation. Remember, the Tennessee was about 1 hour to play in a cancel. How do you, come with the guys and talk about this new up season? I asked the players even, how you guys come up with this season? I feel like you guys should be more hungry because you're left out, the SEC, even the postseason. So how do you guys come to this season after being, stopped to play at the SEC championship?
Well, I think all teams in college, I think we all want to play. I've said that from the beginning. I mean, our guys, I've always said I thought we'd have a college basketball season even way back then. And so our guys are excited. There's no doubt. Would they like to be ready to scrimmage somebody in a week? There's no doubt they would. I mean, but I said we're not, because of the COVID, we're not where we would be. We would do it, obviously, and it would help us. But the fact is, I think all teams are excited. I think we all know that the one thing I think we all know is there is a lot of unknown in terms of what can happen. Because I do, from my situation, when we've been hit with it, it's been in about as innocent a situation as you could imagine with our guys, and I know it's bothered them because they have felt like they've done everything right. But with that said, they're all excited about playing. And we just hope that we can get through what we've got to get through and have the best team we can have on the court every night we go out. I think is what they would like to see too.
Rick, I know that you said you're a little bit behind, which is to be expected. But given the summer and the fact that you didn't have a normal summer, guys got here late, all the newcomers, are you surprised where this team is right now from what you're getting on the court and the chemistry this team has?
Well, you're right about Brent, about it's not a normal summer, fall. I wish we could have had it for our freshmen more than anybody. I think they would be further along than they are right now. In a lot of areas individually, I think physically they would be further along. I think skill-wise they'd be further along. I think a lot of that basketball-wise. But with that said, it goes back to the way what I really have liked about this freshman group of guys that have come in. There's been no whatsoever sense of entitlement. They've jumped right in. And I think that's a great compliment to our older guys, because I think they learned real quick that they thought they understood what working hard was, what commitment was. I think when they watched John Fulkerson on his own in the gym, they watched Eve Pons, they saw real quick, hey, boy, this is different. And so their expectations changed real quickly in terms of, hey, I've got to go harder than I've ever gone. And there were some days we laughed. I'll be honest, we've laughed about it, where you just running simple sprints, how they fell out, threw up, things that were just things that you would, it's, again, they laugh about it now, but that's where they've made more progression in terms of understanding the physical side is much tougher than they thought. The mental side is much more grind than they could ever imagine. But the best part really, Brent, is the fact that they've come in every day wanting to get better. And that's even when it's been days when we haven't had the whole team, when we've had to make do with just staying in the half court, when we've had to go days without being able to go up and down the court because of numbers. But the chemistry has never, ever wavered from the time that these guys have been here. I think we've got a really good group of guys that like each other and pull for each other, and they want to help each other get better.
Teresa Walker and Trey Wallace.
Good morning, Coach. You mentioned that Kansas won't be getting the full effect of Thompson Bowling when they visit. Is it going to be something that maybe players have to adapt to, the idea that being indoors, the game is going to look different this year? The fans, maybe band, for everything that all the bells and whistles that we're all used to. Is that going to be something players have to get accustomed to maybe?
I do think so. That's why we were hoping that we could maybe even get a game on the road in a situation that was going to be more like what conference play is going to be like. It's hard for us to get that done, but we were hoping that. I do think it's going to be different. I would assume people will pipe in the music like they do for football. I've had so many people tell me that have gone to games that tell me they don't like the piped in music, but I'm sure it'll be there. Some places will be louder than they've ever been before. I can tell you that. That you can rest assured on that. But yeah, we'll have to do it. We'll have to play around with it once we get going, where we'll pipe in some music in practice and try to assimilate those type things. But it's going to be different. I mean, we met yesterday about how we're going to have to change the way we come into the arena, how the other team comes into the arena, how they leave the arena, how we do it. The number of basketballs. I mean, there's going to be 20 basketballs out there in pregame warm-up because of the way things. There's a lot. The way. I think the teams are going to be opposite the scorer's table, those type things. And we're trying to do everything to keep everything safe within the boundaries of the court, yet not affect the arena so much where people are so far away. And but we were going through that yesterday, how we're going to try to do it and do it the right way to make it work for everybody, and with safety being the first concern. So it's going to be different. Yeah.
Rick, this is Trey. When piggybacking off Teresa right there, when you look at the whole Thompson Bowling Arena as a whole, so have you guys been able to, and I know maybe you're not in these discussions, all of them, but taking what Neyland Stadium is kind of done with their percentage capacity and then trying to figure out how that would work for Thompson Bowling Arena? Because I would imagine it would be somewhere around the 3,000 to 6,000 range.
Well, I think they haven't got to that number yet. I hate to even say it, but I think it could be less than the 25% because it's indoors.
Right.
If we've got to that point yet, I'd also like to think, being optimistic, that if things get better as time goes on, we can add to some of those type things, but until they come out with a percentage, I don't think any of us know what it will be. What we're thinking about doing, we're thinking about taking one of the sections in the upper deck and trying to get everybody to send us a picture of Jimmy Himes in a Speedo, and he's supposed to send me a picture of him so we could. He wanted to compare his body with Eve Pons, and we're going to do a whole section like that and let it become It'll become one of the hottest things going in the country.
It's in the mail.
It's
in the mail.
And Jimmy gets nothing from it either, other than the recognition that he's a man of his word.
On that note, we'll go to Jimmy and then Mike Wilson.
Other than my six-pack, Rick, you mentioned having multiple point guards, and I wonder, do you think that's of a great advantage this season, given all the uncertainty? You like the idea of having a lot of different players who could play point guard?
Yes, absolutely, because of what could happen. We feel like, and we know how important that position is on the court for us. But like I said earlier, we're even doing some things with that's where it's been good to have a guy like John Fulkerson around that's been with us. He understands the point position. Not that he would actually play the point, but he can orchestrate a lot from where he is. A lot like what Grant Williams actually did back in the day to help Jordan Bone through it. We think Folky can do a lot of that, and he has done a lot of that to help these young guys. And so that's another area that we've thinking about what you're saying that we want to be prepared for. But the fact that we do have more depth at that spot than we've had, it's been a long time since we've had 4 or 5 guys that can play that spot. Obviously, some are a little bit further along than others, but they're all going to get there.
Rick, similar to what the NCAA did with fall athletes, they've granted that kind of free year of eligibility this year for winter athletes. Is that something that you would like some of your guys to potentially explore? And could you handle another year of John Fulkerson beyond this one?
Oh yeah, that's my first recruiting call that day. He was, I got over here and first guy I talked to, I said, "Man, you're going to be a lifer," But I would love to have. I've said it before. I would have loved to have a guy like Kevin Durant forever, and I would say the same thing about Folky. I mean, they'll explore. Those guys will have to explore at the end of the year where they might be in terms of their future. But I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. There's not a guy on our team that wouldn't benefit by being in our program another year. But that's down the road. But those guys will have to explore their options, but they'll certainly be welcome to come back here if they want to.
Then just kind of a scheduling thing. Some schools like Wake Forest and Iowa and Louisville are hosting kind of little 4-team events. Is that something that you guys explored at any point?
We have. We still are. Like I told you, our schedule. We hope we thought we've had it done twice, and we haven't. We still got time to explore a lot of different things. And like I said, we hope here in the next couple of days that we can get some news that we can get it nailed down. But we still may have to go that way, Mike, to be honest with you. We hope not, but we could.
Rob Lewis?
Coach, Eves and Fulky aren't necessarily the most vocal guys, but they're your only 2 seniors. How have they evolved as far as their leadership goes, and how concerned are you about this team with that aspect?
You know what, Rob? The Folky's much better. He is. And the guys look up to him and Eve. I mean, they aren't the rah kind of guys, which is fine with me. I don't want anything to be phony about anybody, and they're not. Those guys are very authentic in the way they do it, and they do lead. And you can lead a lot of different ways, and they lead it by the way they walk and the way they talk and the way they go about their business every single day. But I do think we'll have leadership. I do. Will it be a different kind? Yeah, I think every year there's different ways and different kinds of leadership. But I'm not concerned there right now, because I know this: if we tell those guys we want something done, they're going to get it done. If we walked out of practice today and told John Fulkerson and Eve Pons this is what we want to see done, they would get it done.
All right, we're going to finish up today with Gustavo and then Mike Wilson.
Coach, how was your strategy during the off season to keep in touch with the players? Did you tell them to do any kind of activity? You know, how was your communication with your players during the off season, and more specifically with Euros and Santiago, since they were international players, and with this COVID situation, they were probably the most affected ones.
As a staff, we made the effort to be in touch with them weekly, and more than that, I mean, our coach. I've said it before. I don't think there's a better coaching staff in the country than what I have with me, and those guys do an incredible job of the relationship first with our players. I think our players know good and well that we love them, and not just as basketball players, but as people. But we did stay in constant contact with them, and the fact is we told them what we thought they needed to work on. We went through that. Went through our exit meetings like we would at the end of every year, talked about it, and then told them what we wanted to see done. And I can tell you most of them, all of them, the ones that understood what we were talking about. Now the freshmen obviously hadn't been here, and we talked to them about the things that we felt they needed to be doing, and I think they did that. But the older guys, there's not one guy that didn't come back better than when he left, and which was obviously a compliment to them. But again, I can't say enough about my staff because they really did the job of staying in touch with them.
Rick, obviously Eve gets a lot of attention for his shot blocking abilities, but do you think you had a good shot blocking team as a whole last year? And do you think that's going to be something even more a part of this year's team?
Well, I think we have a team this year that I'm not sure if I'd say shot blocking so much, but I think we got some fix-it guys that can fix some plays real quick, whether it's up by the rim or doing some other things to get there to fix it when it breaks down. I do think that you don't want to be in that situation very much, obviously, where you have to go fix things, but we do have some guys I think that have really good hands. I think we've got some guys that can really guard the ball, some guys that really take great pride and want to guard the ball, which we haven't had a lot of that. We've had to rely so much on team defense, and one of the reasons that we didn't rebound the ball as well last year because we were just seemed to be always out of position and missing blockouts by overhelping or just not, again, being as good as we needed to be. But we got some guys now that can go get the ball for us and be competitive and help their teammates probably more than we've had in the past couple of years.
So if you had to have one player for life, would you pick Kevin Durant or John Fulkerson?
Well, since I got John Fulkerson, I'm going John Fulkerson. I got him, Boy, they say a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, But if I could go back and, believe me, I could put together a pretty good team that if I could have them for a long time, it'd be a pretty good team, But yeah, we love Fulky. I know that we do. And again, I love the way he's worked and the way he has matured in a lot of different areas. And I think the way he ended last year really gave him a whole different look on the success he was having. It really almost rekindled the fire that he had that when we first recruited. He played with that kind of fire, and at the end of the year, I think it really brought it back to him where now his love for the game is at as high a level as it's been since we've known him.
All right, one last bonus question goes to Rick Russo.
Coach, talking about Eve Pons, have you tasted his cooking before? Can the guy cook?
You know what, Eve, where I walk in our little room off the court every day, I walk right by Eve, and I love Eve's versatility. I really do. But I've eaten with Eve before, and what he likes and what I like, we're a long way apart. And when he doesn't go get a rebound, I often will refer to him as French pastry, soft, fluffy. So if I had to have anything, I would ask him to bring me or cook me something like that. But Eve's versatility is something. He did play the sax for me the other day. We were in the Pratt Pavilion, and he had his saxophone, and he got it out. And I hadn't heard him play it live since I was in his home over in France. But he played it the other day, and he still got it. He really does. I still tell him, though, he's got to have a little more rhythm before he does. But, he's another guy that you look forward to being with every day. I mean, Eve Pons has never had a bad day. Even on a day when he's banged up a little bit, first of all, he's as tough as they come. He's never going to complain about anything, but he never has a bad day. How you doing, Rick? Are you back to normal, healthy and everything?
Oh, I'm making it, Coach. Not bad for a 58-year-old.
Are you learning how to stay out of the way of would-be tacklers or blockers or whatever?
My wife has bought me the industrial strength bubble wrap, so I kind of wear that wherever I go now.
What do you guys think about Tom's little facial hair? Do you think it's, and you all should know that Tom just moved into a mansion. I mean, apartment for a year and a half, and he moved in a house that's over 10,000 square feet. And he's got a she shed upstairs that he's got behind a bookcase that you wouldn't even know. I mean, and he's got stuff that he has stolen from different arenas around the country.
We're having some audio problems, it sounds like, so I'm going to have to cut this call short. I really appreciate everybody's time being on here today and joining us. Coach, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.